All right.
All right.
Anaha, welcome to the
Excellent.
Monter Dad podcast.
Thank you.
It's an honor.
Thank
It's
you.
a
Thank
privilege
you.
to have you here. I have so much to talk to you about, ask you about.
Excellent.
I know that you are an awakened being on this planet. So, from one awakened being to the next, I am excited to rap with you and see what's on your
Yeah.
heart, on your mind, and hear a little bit about your journey. So, I guess we can start by maybe introducing yourself and
Thank you.
how you got to Kauai. There you go.
Great way to start.
There you go.
Actually, so yes, my name is Anaha Lion, and I got to Kauai 17 years ago. I thought I was going to be taking a year off from my professional career in San Francisco and traveling around the world for a year. I came here for 3 months to just kind of relax and get grounded before making that round the world travel. Actually, I was really only going to Asia. And I never ended up leaving. Things just unraveled here and fell into place so perfectly that I never ended up leaving and going anywhere else.
It seems like the island will either spit you out or welcome you very nicely.
Yeah, in my case, it rolled out the red carpet quite,
Awesome.
yeah, amazingly. Yeah, my first house here was a beachfront house that I lived in for a year and a half. Um, a 5-bedroom beachfront house that I lived in by myself. It was fantastic. And then I moved from that into a 7-bedroom beachfront house
What?
for the next 3.5 years.
I've gotten to know you over the last 2 years, pretty well, I would say, and I just love how you carry this prosperity vibration with you
Mm.
wherever you go, and maybe you can shine a little light on kind of how you arrive to this prosperity frequency that you embody.
It's interesting as I was thinking about this yesterday as I was looking at this very big house up in Kilauea. And, just kind of went inward and started thinking about prosperity and abundance and how I define abundance. And it's been a process of learning how to define or redefining abundance. And how I define and wealth is not based on monetary value. I define abundance and wealth based on how something serves you and how something serves your journey. Um, and what I mean by that is sometimes it's the grass hut that actually serves you best and serves you most. And other times it's the castle that serves you most. And to be able to recognize the wealth and the abundance in either is what allows us to see that there is no lack. There truly is no lack. It's really just about what serves you in the moment and letting go of any perceptions or judgments that we have about a thing based on its monetary value or its materialistic appearance or value, and being grateful for the service that it's providing us in the moment, and trusting that we are exactly where we need to be in any given moment. And if we trust that, we don't need to go into judgment. Um, my third house here on Kauai, after living in a 5-bedroom beachfront house and a 7-bedroom beachfront house, was a house on Hawaiian homeland that had no windows, doors, or walls. It was an abandoned house that a Hawaiian family wasn't able to complete construction on. And through circumstances where I left those two beachfront houses and went and lived in Kalalau for 6 months, when I came out, I didn't have a place to stay. And this Hawaiian family hosted me on their land in that abandoned house. And it was a condemned house. I ended up living there for 9 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I fixed it up as comfortably as it could be. It was kind of like a Swiss Family Robinson house by the time I was done. And it was really amazing. Everybody that would come to visit was like, this was incredible. Um, but I wrote on the wall God's house has no windows, doors. I'm sorry. Oh, God's house has no windows, doors, or walls, only shelter for all who enter.
Nice.
And what that had to do with is that house actually taught me more about abundance than any other house I'd ever lived in.
Wow.
And it was because, you know, I actually had some of those judgments originally around moving into that house because I felt a little self conscious about bringing other people over.
Sure.
I'm living in an abandoned, condemned
Yeah.
house after living in a seven bedroom
Yeah.
beachfront house. So I had some of my own judgments to let go of. But how that house served me in my journey um, was probably the greatest experience of abundance I'd ever experienced in my life
Nice.
before that.
So you're speaking about inner abundance, I would
Exactly.
say.
Inner
So
wealth.
you found the inner self.
Yeah.
And you had been have you been a seeker for a certain amount of time and you kind of found what you were looking for?
Yeah, I've been a seeker for a long time, and I think we're continually finding what we're looking for, and that's the journey.
Yeah.
And I've been on that journey for a long time.
Great.
So, yeah.
Can you speak about maybe some awakenings that really activated you?
Well, my initial awakening was a Kundalini awakening in 2001, and that sort of was off the charts. And I had been seeking for about 2 years before that, in the way that I knew how, which was that I was praying because I was raised Catholic. So I was praying intensely at the time for answers because even though I had a lot of the bells and whistles that people want in life, I was disenchanted with them and was confused by that. Um, and so I was praying very hard. And as a result of that intense prayer for a couple of years, I became awakened and started having answers.
Nice.
And it literally changed my whole life.
Now, I've heard you talk about like it's sometimes challenging for you to sleep, right? And just kind of be in the world because there's so much energy running through your body at 24 hours a day.
Yep.
So, I mean, what's that like to be walking like with this fire burning inside of you?
So, yeah, so I thought about that last night, the two times I had to get up and stand outside in the moonlight to calm the energy down. And that's pretty much like a nightly thing that I have to
Wow.
do. I have to usually wake up one or two times during the night and go stand outside and be barefoot and connect to the earth
Ground
and
it,
ground the
yourself, yeah.
energy and be in the moonlight. And I've had to do that for years. So it's just part of something that I accept about being in this body and having a lot of energy moving through it.
Kind of a blessing and a curse, huh?
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
look at it that way.
And
It's very, very
do you use
challenging.
this energy to heal or to bless, or what's in your mind maybe the most positive use of this energy?
Well, truthfully, I use it for everything. It's creation energy. It's life force energy. So it's literally creating my reality
Nice.
and creating my reality from um, what I what I perceive as being. I'm able to see my own life from the perspective of my higher self, and so that allows me to create from that place. And I use it to bless and to heal others and to heal myself and to bless others and to bless myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm been the beneficiary of some of your blessings over the span of short time we've known each other, and I see how it works in your life as an observer. Um, so it's interesting to see how energy can move through people and into other people because it's everything, you know. So can you speak a little bit about energy in general, how you understand it?
Um, yeah, well, of course, we are energetic beings. We are electronic beings. We're a conduit between heaven and earth, essentially. And so we are magnetized by the earth's energy at its core. as well as by divine energy in the higher frequencies and higher dimensions. And in the middle, we are an electronic being. And that electronic energy radiates out through us and is what is creating our world and the reality around us by vibrational frequency. Um, it is radiating through our physical body and then through our subtle bodies. And by radiating through our subtle bodies and out into the world around us, we connect with the universal field. And by connecting with the universal field, we attract to us like forms of consciousness and like forms of reality. Um, so that's why it's always so important to be um, knowing ourselves. The old saying, know thyself. Know thyself has to do with knowing our thoughts and feelings and the choices and concepts and beliefs that we have, so that we can discern whether or not they are serving us in a positive way or they are serving us in a way that reflects to us that they are creating what we don't want in this
Interesting.
reality.
So it's really up to us to use the energy in a more positive way. And I guess we can see the result of some of the more destructive ways of using the creative energy in
Yes,
a
yes.
funny way,
Yeah.
how it's
Some of the
can,
greatest manifestors on this planet are manifesting in negative ways.
yes. So I love that you are focused and clear about your manifestations and conscious about what you're bringing into this world. So that's very inspiring to me, and I know it's inspiring to others, and it's why people want to hang out with you.
Thank you.
I'm very interested in your connection to the guides that you have. Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So can you maybe a little bit history about how you got connected to your guides? And
You know, it's interesting. When you look back in retrospect, you realize that you've been connected to your guides all your life, right? And I think for most of us that's true because they have been guiding us really all of our lives. And we invited them in to do that on a soul level. And we've created contracts with them to do that on a soul level. So we made agreements with them before coming into physical
that
form,
is so cool.
right? And we may not always be aware of those agreements here in these physical bodies.
How could
but,
we be? I mean, that's kind of a interesting.
Well, I think, yeah, certainly sooner or later, as you get more and more in touch with your guides, you do realize that.
Wow.
And you go, oh, okay, well, I made this agreement a long time ago, and we're fulfilling an agreement that we made. That's what they're doing. That's what I'm doing, you know? And it isn't always easy because we can't always see things from the perspective that they can see things from, right? And that's what makes it challenging.
Wow.
It makes it challenging because they can see that by going through a particular process, by going through a particular experience or circumstance, that we are going to achieve a higher awareness, a higher understanding of how the universe works and how life on this planet works, right? And to a certain degree, we have to be able to trust. We have to be able to trust that our guides are working on our behalf to support us in our own self-mastery and in our own journey. And from that place of trust, be willing to surrender to what they are guiding us to do. And that isn't always easy. It's never easy to surrender into the unknown, you know.
Well, I know for sure that you've taken more of an advanced path here and an embodiment, and it's not for the lighthearted. I think. Well, I mean, you're very lighthearted. Don't get me wrong, but it's not for the faint of heart. I should say. Like, it takes courage, to listen, to follow. I think there's a masculine theme where it's like me first. I need to win, whatever, and in a way that's like, as you transition to new awarenesses, new levels of consciousness, new dimensions, where the rules are changing a little bit, and it's like, okay, how can we still be the creator of our reality, and not harming others along the way, and empowering ourselves and others in a positive way, so that not to be power over others or under
Mhm.
others. So in a way, what you're saying is kind of creating win-win situations with this responsibility that has been kind of granted to you.
Mhm.
It's almost like you have a mantle, or an altar that you kind of welcome these beings into, and they're aiding you throughout your life. And
Mhm.
I can you maybe speak about some times where they really came in handy, like really necessary for you?
um, first of all, I want to say that true power empowers others, right? That's what true power is. And that's what our guides do, right? Because they're coming from a place of true enlightened power, um, through their God essence. What they're attempting to do with us, or offer us the opportunity to, is to empower ourselves in the same way. And so the truth is that my guides become handy in every experience. And it's because their path is to empower me. It isn't to do it for me. It's to create or guide me, shall I say. It's really to guide me towards experiences that will awaken aspects of my consciousness that are yet unawakened. And through those experiences, allow me to empower myself to become more of the creator that I am, and to have more of an understanding of myself as that sovereign creator being. And there's really nothing more empowering than that.
Mm.
And there's really nothing more handy than that, because it's like, obviously, you know, teaching a person to catch fish is much better than catching fish for them, right? And that's what our guides do,
Nice.
you know.
Awesome. Have they ever named themselves, or
Um,
I-
yeah, they have.
cool. Nice.
Yeah.
And they've been with you for a good amount of time.
Yeah, they have. And the truth is in the earliest parts of my path, well, in my 20s and my early 20s and late 20s, I channeled a couple of books that they channeled through me. Um, at that time, I really wasn't aware that they were the ones doing that process. Um, and then when I had my initial awakening, I really wasn't aware of their presence for a lot of years, and had to pray pretty strongly, and ask for their guidance pretty strongly for a lot of years. And I think that really just set the tone for um, me learning how to navigate this path on my own.
Nice.
Yeah,
And they've saved your life a few times,
yeah, they
moreover
have.
too, huh?
Yeah.
I know you make frequent trips out to Kalalau
Mm-hmm.
and have your spiritual experiences there, and connect to the land, and I'm sure your guides are very present during those times when
Mm-hmm.
you have virtually no distractions. Can you talk about maybe some experiences on Kalalau, or other vision quests, for lack of a better word, that really have you've gleaned some knowledge from?
Yeah, well, really, all of them. Generally, I don't go to Kalalau, or on Vision Quest unless I receive guidance to do that, because they are such an inner journey for me. Usually, I'm going pretty solitary, but lately I've been going with other people too, and have been guided to do that. Um, one of the things that I should make clear, and this is something that is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer to me, is that um, the guidance that I receive is primarily from my higher self. And it's about developing the relationship with my higher self, which is basically developing the relationship with myself and getting more and more intimate with that. And that's what my guides have done, is supported me in creating a more intimate relationship with myself.
Yes.
In other words, the oneness between my higher self and this physical self,
Yeah.
you know. And that's where my guides have supported my path the most. And there's been multiple experiences where they've supported that in various different ways. Going and living in the jungle or going out and living in nature for vision quests or part of my soul's journey always is it's like paradise and challenge at the same time,
Yeah.
you know. So usually I'm brought through some physical demands in terms of living in the jungle and doing the spiritual practices that I do. Those physical demands create an intensity that generates a higher level of consciousness. And
Right.
that's
So through certain austerities that,
Yeah.
that you're put through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not of your own volition. It's like, okay,
I
you're
don't
almost
know.
going to fall off a cliff now. You better get ready for this, you know?
Yes.
It's no joke,
Yeah.
doing what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I actually haven't been. I'm really excited to go with you one day
Yeah.
and almost die, maybe. So and be saved by your guides. That'd be awesome.
Well,
Our
yeah.
guides.
So that what you're talking about is the last trip that I went, and I was guided to go there by my guides, who brought me through a process so that I could understand more of myself as the creator, right? And how I was creating specific circumstances in my life. And particularly how certain belief systems, limiting belief systems, were creating circumstances in my life that weren't my preference, right? And they walked me through some experiences to illustrate how we create in this world. And then I had an experience of walking the trail and falling and nearly falling off the trail. And really, it was the first time in my life I ever had to pray instantaneously to God, please get me out of this situation. And instantaneously, I got the guidance to drop my pack and then get back up on the trail and crawl out of there. And that guidance was coming from my higher self, because I prayed instantly to my higher self. The higher self instantly answered. And that has to do with developing a relationship with my higher self for years and years and years.
Yeah, the trust that you've accumulated it's admirable, I would say. And and I know a lot of people that just don't have that, and feel victimized by things. And there's a lot of empowerment in the trust, and the word surrender you've used, and that is challenging for some people to, I guess, understand what that really means.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like you're like throwing up the white flag. It's like you're surrendering. Surrender and trust kind of go hand in hand. It's like, boom, okay, I surrender, receive the guidance, boom, trust the guidance, follow. It seems to me like it's a recipe that you've practiced over time.
Well, yeah, over many years, constantly developing that understanding. I've developed a relationship with my higher self in trusting it and surrendering for years and years and years. And I just made that commitment to do that just to find out answers. I mean, the truth is that I have been a truth seeker. I'm a seeker of truth and a seeker of love. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to find the truth, and have been. And so that was the reason for surrendering, just wanting to know. So if I'm guided to do something from my higher self, I'll do it just to find out what the answer is. And there's an easy way to actually understand this, and it's something that I think benefits all of us, is that our higher self and our lower self are the same being. They're all us. So ultimately, it is me guiding me. My higher self is me. It's who I am.
Well, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Why
Right.
would it be anything but? You
Right.
know?
But I think people, and that's why we should trust it, because
Yeah.
it's the part of ourselves that can see things from the higher perspective, right?
Mm.
It's the it's really it's the part of ourselves that we want to be, that can see
Yeah.
all these things from the higher
And
perspective
we're
and have the
striving
answers.
to get connection to.
Yeah,
That's your soul essentially, right? And the
yeah,
soul is also this physical being. I mean, this is a representation of an infinite particle, basically, as
yep.
you, living as you. So I love how you say it's really no different. It makes it easy to kind of understand. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it does, and it gives us reason to trust it. It's all you're doing is trusting yourself.
Yeah.
You
And why
know?
is that so hard? Boom,
Yeah.
it's you.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, and it kind of takes the mystery out of it. I think
It does.
it's like practical spirituality.
Uh huh.
You know,
It is.
cool,
It is.
nice. So
Yeah.
so you find yourself at a interesting crossroads in your life. I would say
Hmm.
you're ending one career and burgeoning into another one. So can you talk about some of your new gifts that you want to embody and bring into this world?
Yeah. Well, so I have been offering spiritual counseling to people for years. The way that it has always worked in the past is that spirit just guides people to me. And then I'm able to offer them counseling or coaching. Usually they're going through a major life lesson, one that they've repeated more than once in this lifetime, one that has them pretty mystified. In other words, they're at a place where this life lesson has come to them two or three times, and now they're at the big part of it,
Mm.
and it's very confusing, very painful, very emotional. It's bringing up a lot to the surface, and they have the opportunity to transcend that life lesson and get it once and for all. And I'm able to see from that higher self perspective what this particular life lesson is about for them, and to give them tools to be able to transcend it. And it's usually a process. It's not something that happens in like one session with them. Oh, here it is. It's usually a process that takes place over several weeks and sometimes several months, actually. And because there's so many layers to it. And so the process is getting through all of those layers so that they can finally clear it. And usually, what creates so much trauma for people as we're going through life lessons is the confusion, right? And what happens at the end is, as we pass through all of these different layers, is they have clarity. Clarity comes. And from that clarity is where the transformation comes. It's like little lights go off in the process. And as you move through the layers, finally the big light goes off and they're able to see it for themselves from the higher perspective, and then are able to transform it and change it in their life for good.
Nice.
And so I've been supporting others in doing that for a long time. And now I'm offering that professionally, in a sense. In other words, all these years I haven't charged for those services. And was guided not to. It was part of my training to be able to offer that to people. And now it's part of my training actually to offer that as a paid service, so that I can offer it to more people, and so that I can step into the next level of my journey.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for getting to that point where you can help others.
Yeah.
As you become a student, or as you on the student's path for a long enough time, you go, okay, I've learned enough, through this experience, and the lessons I have learned, I know can be helpful to others, and they've told me that it is helpful. So it's just a matter of connecting the dots and being like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
surrender and trust again. I'm here to do this mission, and it's okay,
Yeah.
and it's vital, And we're at a time in our life where people really need some help. I mean,
Yeah. They are.
like big time, deep stuff is coming to the surface, and it's the apocalypse means like the veil is lifting, as you know, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like what is lifting and what is there
Mm-hmm.
after. We've been seeing the world through maybe some cloudy glasses, and it's like
Exactly.
clarity is so key to understanding and moving forward in life.
Yeah. That clarity brings peace of mind
Mm.
for people, and then it brings peace into the rest of their life too.
Mm.
And from that peace, you can expand into so many more possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, we're loving, peaceful beings at heart, and it's just a matter of, yeah, really nestling into that cocoon, I guess, of self love first,
Mm-hmm.
and giving up the confusion, so that you're not tied to this world of illusion, basically, which is separation. It's not even real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not even real. And the truth is when we feel at peace, we can be more creative.
Mm.
And so the truth is even on the bigger picture, that's what we want in our society. We want people to be creating out of love and out of peace.
Can we please?
Yes, not out of this place of scarcity and lack and fear, which is
Yeah.
what we've created out of in the
Mm.
past. And I mean, even if look at your own life, when is your own life the most creative? When you feel the freest to be able to create, and when you
For
have
sure.
calmness in your life. So
Yeah, this global thing we're going through right now has really allowed me to go inside myself and birth a new self,
mhm.
that wasn't really there before. So totally new. And yeah, I think there's a certain amount of suffering, I guess, that we can align to on the collective, and in that brings unity. But there's also the other side of it, which is like there's a lot of positive that's coming from this time, and you
Yeah,
yourself are evidence that you can change, you can grow and transform, and it's okay, and it's encouraged.
yeah,
And helping others is just like icing on the cake.
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
awesome.
and I'm definitely ready to see a world that's creating from a place of abundance and joy and love rather
Yeah,
than
definitely.
fear and scarcity,
Why
for
not?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you talk about your website and how the vision for what that is?
Yeah. So the website is called empoweredliving.life. It's a resource for to give people tools to live a more empowered life. It gives them tools to understand consciousness as well as the universal laws that are affecting us here on this planet. The universal laws are fixed and they govern our reality, and we can master them. And so this site is dedicated to giving us the tools to create our own reality from a much more empowered place.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it's a place where people can go to attain a level of mastery through the knowledge that is universal and is widely accepted as law, essentially,
Hmm.
the true law, not man made law.
Yeah.
And when we align to those truths, life kind of opens up possibilities to live a more sovereign being. Um, Empowered is a perfect word
Hmm.
for what you're giving to others, essentially, and
Yeah.
they're claiming for themselves.
Yeah. The idea is that we can be successful in every area of our lives, and that we don't have to feel disempowered by our circumstances, that our circumstances are just a reflection of the consciousness that is creating those circumstances. So if you want a different circumstance, all you need to do is shift the consciousness that's creating your current circumstance and then create a new one.
Mm.
So,
Sounds so easy.
yeah, it sounds easy. It's a bit of a process. Um, but, when you understand what you're working with, that helps. So many people are walking through the world not understanding all of the different energies and universal laws that are affecting how they move through this world. And being more conscious of them gives us tools.
Excellent.
You know, the same
Well,
as
I know I'm always wanting more tools.
yeah,
I know, I mean, this is the Mantra Dad podcast, so it wouldn't be a Mantra Dad podcast unless we talked about some mantras and the
yes.
power of sound and word. Have you come in contact or practiced some mantras in your life that have, given you a certain edge, so to speak, or,
Yeah.
talk about that.
I've actually used so many different mantras, and now I mainly use one mantra for everything. Um, I went through a stage where I used Om Namah Shivaya. I used the Hare
I love
Krishna
the
mantra.
Hare Krishna mantra.
Yeah. Interestingly, there's a purpose behind those mantras that people often aren't aware of.
Please,
Yeah.
please go there. I love this.
So, Om Namah Shivaya is meant to, the purpose of it, like great saints like Babaji and other saints say, chant the name of God 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And what they really mean is chant it 24 hours a day, even while you're sleeping. Some of these great yogis from the past were able to actually continue doing these mantras while they were sleeping.
Wow.
So
I didn't
they'd
know that.
sleep with half their brain like a dolphin and be chanting with the other half of their brain.
Huh.
And I actually met a man on the Big Island. He was a guru in the Hindu tradition of the Hare Krishna. And he ended up having heart surgery to replace a valve in his heart or something like that. And after the surgery, the doctors all asked him how he was able to do it because he was chanting the entire time during the surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
While under medication.
Huh.
Right. So, and his response to them was, I'm never asleep. So, and I met this person. I got to
Wow.
ask him about it personally.
So
That was
you've
one
been
of
in the
stories.
presence of some gurus
Yeah.
in your life. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have too. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, there's something there.
It's
There is
very powerful.
something there. And yeah,
Yeah, they've achieved a very high level of
totally. That's
mastery
like
over their physical body.
slim percentage of the population that can get there and gone through the austerities, have chanted the mantras like hours, thousands of
Yeah.
hours of praising God, being God. It's like
Exactly.
so cool.
So, when people are chanting with their beads, you see them chanting during certain periods of the day. But these great saints, they're chanting all the time, even while they're having a conversation with you. They actually are having a conversation with you and chanting a mantra in their mind at the same time. And you can see them playing with their beads at the same time. Again, that's just training the mind. And the purpose of it, so Om Namah Shivaya is to, when people chant that 24/7, it's to create a state of one-pointedness. One-pointedness is a state where the mind only thinks about God. It literally becomes God, 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 God. That's all it thinks about. And the reason why these yogis are attempting to achieve that state of one-pointedness is that when the mind goes into a single thought, and when that thought is actually God, it creates a polarization between the chakras. Your crown chakra and your root chakra are actually poles, like the North Pole and the South Pole of this Earth, and they become magnetized the same way the poles of this Earth do. When you become one-pointedness, that magnetization of the crown chakra and the root chakra causes the Kundalini energy to rise, and it rises instantaneously. So what yogis are trying to achieve by repeating that mantra over and over again until they reach that state of one-pointedness is, in that state of one-pointedness, the Kundalini energy will rise and give them the opportunity to reach higher states of consciousness. So the Hare Krishna mantra is very similar, but it creates a state of ecstatic bliss.
It does do that.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
And the purpose of that is to create a continuous state of ecstatic bliss, because in that continuous state of ecstatic bliss, it will do the same thing. It will create a polarization of the crown and root chakra that magnetizes and then raises the Kundalini energy.
Excellent.
So both of them serve the same purpose. They do require quite some dedication to doing that mantra.
After some time, you
Yeah.
will start getting it.
And maybe sometimes lifetimes.
Yeah.
There is a mantra that I use that it's always interesting when I say it out loud. I sometimes have a hard time doing the words because I say it silently all the time. But it basically is this: I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts and that opens the door to me to the light within its heart. So, I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts and that opens the door to me to the light within its heart.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And this was given to you?
It was given to me by my guides.
Nice.
There's meaning behind the mantra. In other words, our higher self is our I am presence. So I am always the majestic power of pure love. That is what we are. That is our true essence. I am, my higher self, is always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts. Human concepts are what our mind creates in this denser frequency.
Obstructions and obstacles.
Exactly. So I am puts me in touch with my higher self instantaneously. I am always the majestic power of pure love, which is, I'm now identifying myself as that, the majestic power of pure love.
Can I try it?
Sure.
I am always the majestic power of pure love.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Let me try it one more time. I am always the majestic power of pure love. Yes.
Yeah. So I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts.
All right. I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts.
So what that's doing is actually it's activating the pure love that you are, that is actually assisting you in transcending those human concepts. So when you say I am always the majestic power of pure love, that is essentially a directive to your I am presence to send pure love into your consciousness and dissolve the human concepts that you hold in your consciousness. So it's a directive.
Yeah, it's like a command in a way.
It's a command.
Yeah.
It's saying, I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts. When I say that, the majestic power of pure love comes down through my crown chakra and flows through my consciousness and dissolves any human concepts that interfere or are not in alignment with the majestic power of pure love. So it's an activation. Then it goes on to say, and that opens the door to me to the light within its heart.
It opens the door to me to the light within its heart.
So I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts and that opens the door to me to the light within its heart.
Okay. That's a lot to remember, but I think I'll try it.
Okay.
I am always the majestic power of pure love that transcends all human concepts and opens the door to, what is it?
And that opens the door to me.
That opens the door to me
to the light within
to the light within itself.
To the light within its heart.
To the light within its heart. Awesome.
Yes.
I'll have to listened to this podcast several times
Yes.
to start embodying that.
Once you memorize it, it's easy to say.
Nice.
And what it's speaking to is it.
I love that. It's very modern and very. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
That's okay.
it's just like, yeah, a lot of the Sanskrit ones are. It's kind of hard for people to embody that. I think because but it's in the vibration, right?
Hmm.
But that one is in English, right? So it's more attainable, I guess. And
Hmm.
I feel like the power of love, and especially pure love, is something that everybody can have a connection to.
Yeah. It also has. I mean, it's great that you say it has to do with it in English because there is something to that. I mean, there's certainly a vibrational frequency in Sanskrit,
Definitely.
and oftentimes people are repeating mantras that they don't actually understand because it isn't their native tongue.
Yeah, and they haven't bothered to look up the translations, which I, I, I always recommend people look up the translations. You want to know what you're chanting. You want to
Yes,
make sure it's not a satanic ritual or whatever.
obviously.
So,
But also, when we say things in our native tongue, there's a cognitive
definitely,
resonance with it that makes it more empowering and powerful.
for sure.
So, anyway, the idea behind and that it opens the door to me to the light within its heart. What it does is what that means is that it opens the door to the light within the heart of the majestic power of pure love. Because the majestic power of pure love has a heart,
Mm,
right? And that is actually contained within our heart. And so, and actually, it is a little doorway in our heart. The seed of the soul is anchored in our heart in a little doorway in essence. It's
yeah.
anchored there, right? And it will always be anchored there. And that's what it's connecting to.
Mm,
So it's a very powerful mantra, and
love it.
it has the opportunity to bring you into an inner state of consciousness instantly. So if you're saying it throughout the day or whenever you have the opportunity to, it will bring you into an inner state of consciousness, and it'll actually work to dissolve some of the obstructions that we have in our
Mm,
consciousness. And it's doing that pretty much constantly as you're saying it.
mm.
So,
Really, the power of sound to alter your frequency and to upgrade your reality and what you see,
mhm.
right? Because of the inner reflects the outer. Um, so have you noticed your day changing up since when you do the mantra? If you chant it consistently throughout the day, how different your day could be versus maybe in different frequencies?
Absolutely. I've been using this mantra for years, and I've gone through years at a time where I'm basically just chanting it all the time. And what it does is it raises my frequency. And, like, put it this way, what I notice most about it is two things. One, a clearing, especially if there's something that's created an obstruction or a layer that's coming to the surface in my consciousness that is not in resonance with love. It's dissolving that layer, and it is raising my frequency at the same time,
Which is never a bad thing.
which is never a bad thing. Exactly.
Any amount of chanting is good, I think.
Yeah,
It's not that you just give your whole life over to it. It's just like spoonfuls of it will make a big difference. I
absolutely.
feel like so. It's almost like these are incantations, these are affirmations, these are commands of truth to the universal energy that
Hmm.
is us, and aligning to that. The Hare Krishna mantra is you're aligning to Hare Krishna, which is all that is,
Hmm.
and the masculine, the feminine, and um, can you speak a little bit about the masculine and the feminine energies? So
Hmm.
slightly, off topic, but still connected to this. I know that's a big part of your website, right?
Hmm.
The empowered masculine, the empowered feminine. So, as we transition to this age of awakening, how do you see that playing out? How can a man or a woman really embody those frequencies of empowerment?
Hmm. Well, it's certainly about embodying both energies within the male and female forms, right? The more we become in balance with the masculine and the feminine, the more empowered we are, both in our inner world and in our outer world. One thing the patriarchy has done over centuries of time has limited us because it hasn't embraced the power of the feminine. And the feminine is very powerful, very powerful. And the truth is when we're not embracing both the masculine and feminine within ourselves, it's disempowering. And what that has to do with is, so if we want to look at the masculine and feminine energies, we can look at the masculine as our thinking nature and the feminine as the feeling nature. Um, the, when we hold the thought of something or the vision of something, that's one aspect of manifestation. That's what allows it to take form, okay? Because thought is form. But the feeling nature is what propels it into physical reality. In other words, it's what propels, like a good example is of a child being born in reality. A child being born begins with thought, the vision of a child being born, right? But it only comes into physical manifestation through the feeling nature. And that's what the feminine brings. And that's why it's so powerful. It's the bridge between thought and physical manifestation. And by denying that within ourselves as men, if we deny or suppress our feeling nature, it makes us less powerful. And certainly when we suppress it in women, it makes us less powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like most women that I know really want to take over the world. They just want love, it seems. And yeah, I, I can speak for myself that I have certain times in my life numbed myself from my feeling nature in a myriad of ways. And now just opening back up to that, like you said, how powerful that is.
Mm-hmm.
And we all come from that energy, and we all came down that portal in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And it is life-giving, and so is the masculine as
Mm-hmm.
well. So it's kind of like, yeah, like really shouldn't cut ourselves off from either one because they're equally as purposeful to embody. I love that you're speaking to this right
Yeah.
now, especially this podcast at first was directly to men, and I wanted to speak to men because I know the men need a lot of help.
Mm-hmm.
And how can I inspire men the most? And if I started talking about, oh, you need to be more feminine to men, that could be like, I'm not tuning into that guy's podcast. What is he talking about? I want to be a man, not a woman, whatever. And so the lines get blurred as far as what's masculine, what's feminine, and putting it really simply, thinking and feeling, that I feel like that's a good categories, I think, for the male mind to understand. Like, if it's okay, I can do both. I can do both. And it doesn't make me a woman if I feel things, or if I enjoy dancing, or even if I clean the house, that's not necessarily feminine. That's kind of universal.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk to maybe the man out there who has some confusion with regards to how to embody the feminine inside of his male body?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, in truth, it's all about coming into the heart and understanding that we all have thoughts and feelings already. And it's just about embracing them. It's not as though women who are more balanced in their feeling nature aren't thinking, right? They're balanced in their thoughts and in their feeling nature as we are as men. It's more a matter of how we embrace them. In the male paradigm, we from a very early age are actually taught to suppress our feelings. When we have feelings of insecurity or fear or things like that come up, even as young children, we're told to, come on, suck it up, act like a man, be a boy, be your big
Quit
boy,
your crying,
quit your
baby
crying.
face.
Yeah, all those things.
Get out there,
Yeah.
wrestle that guy.
Yeah,
that was me.
sure.
Yeah, you're hurt. Doesn't matter. Get out there, wrestle that guy.
Yeah, and that teaches us to suppress our feelings. Um, Women aren't taught that in the same way,
Yeah.
right? They are taught more to embrace their feelings and supported in embracing their feelings. And so that has an effect on us as men, but it is about and for a lot of years, women have told us men, you need to embrace your feelings, right? Turns out they were right, and because it is true. And the truth is that it takes far more strength to embrace our feelings than it does to suppress them, because it takes courage to face those feelings that we have that may be based in fear and to transcend them.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, like how those thoughts of femininity could be based in fear, like actually afraid of that energy, because it is so potent, it's so powerful, uplifting, and activating.
Sure. And it also, it takes courage to express love from a tender place as a man, right? That actually takes a lot of courage, and to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable to feelings that may make us feel a little uncomfortable, may make us feel a little less manly,
Sure.
so to speak. It's interesting that you said that women don't want to take over the world. Because I was listening to you and I was thinking, yeah, no, it's men that want to take over the world.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like 10 times out of 10.
Yes. And,
what is that about? Stop it, men. Come on.
Yeah.
Talking to you guys out there.
And what women actually want is harmony.
Yeah.
And
what's wrong with that?
For the most part, I mean, if you were to ask women, that I would imagine that would be their response. And because it has to do with the feeling nature, that's what the feeling nature is actually seeking, is harmony.
Yeah.
Right? Even within ourselves as men, we're seeking to harmonize the feelings that we have, because in that harmonious state, we feel more balanced, right? Otherwise, the pendulum is swinging from anger to happiness to, frustration, irritation to calmness. It's this constant pendulum swinging, right? And we actually feel more harmonious when they're in balance. And so part of the spiritual journey is called the middle way. It's about bringing that pendulum into harmony in the middle. And really the only way that we can do that is through the feeling nature. Because in truth, and this is one of the things that makes actually the feminine so powerful as well. If we think in terms of our human physical body in relation to our subtle bodies. In other words, we have this physical body, and then the subtle bodies around us. The first layer outside of this physical body is our mental body. The next layer is our feeling body. And the next layer after that is our etheric body, and then it radiates out into the world around us. And so the consciousness that we have that comes from our higher self passes through our etheric body, then it passes through our feeling body, then through our mental body, and into our physical body. So what that means is that the feeling body actually has more effect on the mental body and the physical body than any other part of our consciousness. So if our feeling body is not in harmony and is not in a state of homeostasis or calmness, the mental body will be agitated. And then the mental body will create agitation in the physical body, which inevitably will create disease.
Yeah.
Right? And so if we want to have a quiet mind, it's about creating harmony within the emotional body. If you want to alleviate the monkey mind, so to speak, you first have to, wrestle that monkey in your emotional body. And sometimes you could look at it as women having more emotional intelligence because of being more attuned to that feeling nature within themselves, right? And certainly conscious women. There's, of course, all states of consciousness in all beings, but conscious women have a very high level of emotional intelligence. And in reality, that's what they're asking for from men, is for men to have a high level of emotional intelligence as well, so that from our mental place, we aren't projecting emotions onto the feminine that they don't deserve to have projected onto them, right? And that's just coming from a place of not having as much emotional intelligence and knowing how much power those emotions of anger and resentment and jealousy and any negative emotions have. Now, we all have those, men and women, but you know, from the male perspective, of having suppressed those emotions and being trained to suppress those emotions, they can come up in violent and aggressive ways that get projected outward. We do it to each other as men.
Yeah.
We just relate to it differently, right?
We call it competition.
Yeah, we call it exactly.
And,
we call it competition,
and it's a healthy thing in small doses for sure.
Yeah,
but if we're trying to destroy each other and undermine each other, then it's definitely not healthy. I mean,
exactly.
I feel like, being part of a men's group with you and other men, it's I feel like most men would really benefit from that collective um, men's group support and growth, within that feeling of tribe. And when it's not there, you kind of miss it. You don't, you forget that you need it, in a way. It's one of those needs. And it's a place to develop emotional intelligence and to stay accountable to yourself and to the tribe. And there's an extra layer of, I guess, protection from, the monkey mind, just wreaking havoc, as the ego, this little goblin of ego that just goes around and just destroys things. So, so it's kind of important to keep oneself in check and keep the masculine energy more balanced.
The truth is, I think it's actually necessary for us to support each other in creating this new paradigm and new consciousness around emotional intelligence for men. Because inevitably, we're the ones that have to do it for ourselves, but we also need to support each other in doing it because it's new, right? And part of the supporting each other in it is to say it's okay. It doesn't make you feminine. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you less powerful. In fact, it makes you more powerful. You can now take that thinking nature and add emotional intelligence to it and become an incredibly powerful creator in your professional career as well as in your relationships and in your family and in your life in general. Right? And without that emotional intelligence, we are creating drama and problems and obstacles for ourselves that we don't know how to clear.
And the people we claim to love as well, kind of setting booby traps for them everywhere. It's like they're just going to walk into this landmine of something that it hasn't been healed through kind of conscious attention to it and giving love, shining love to where maybe those dark spots in our whatever past or shadow. And yeah, so it seems like you've done a lot of work on yourself, my friend. Thank you. From in a collective here on this island, we really are a collective, and this radiates outward. So, coming on the podcast, this is really the reason I started this and how I want to show up in this world. So thank you for embodying the frequency of an aligned man that's giving your gift to this world on a small and large scale, one-on-one, and also hugely effective for the collective because we're all related, and we're all struggling with the same types of things. So it's kind of like giving up. I love the theme of just giving up the confusion, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and just yeah, aligning to what's real and finding that within the self, within the heart, having courage. Heart is it's not just about love; it's about
Mm,
courage, you know,
absolutely.
and the courage to love. You know, even if I may feel wounded or broken inside, it's still you still have the capacity to feel and receive and give love,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and embodying just the unified being. So thank you for doing that. But I
Thank
know
you.
you're a mentor for many men and women on this island, and doing the work for yourself over many years, decades now for you, has really paid dividends, I would say. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like really all about the inner work and the sound and the light, the frequencies, the receptions that you've gotten from the non-physical world helping you here. It's pretty empowering.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It's been, it's interesting if I think about myself now from where I was 20 years ago. I don't even remember that
Night and
person.
day, huh?
Yeah.
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 S-
Um, yeah. One of the things as you were speaking that it takes courage to love. I would love to live in a society where it actually doesn't take courage to love, where it's actually the easiest thing we can possibly do. And, we're still moving through that place where, um, it takes courage to love. And that has to do with our wounds and, and shutting down and things like that.
mhm.
But in reality, it should be so easy.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I should reveal a little secret.
All right. Let's have the secret.
Talking about love, Denise is pregnant.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Congratulations.
that's a new love tunnel coming
Yeah.
in, a new soul
Wow.
coming into the Marchakos family. So super
Yeah.
stoked about that. Maybe one day be sitting on my lap here on the podcast, like
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. So that's exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Do you know whether it's a boy or a girl
not
or
yet.
not yet?
I think it's a boy.
Yeah. Awesome. I
Yeah.
hope that's the case because you already have a girl, but either way,
Yeah,
it's
more love, more love
absolutely.
coming in, holding space for that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're a great dad.
I
So,
I really I really try,
yeah.
and it is easy,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know where the idea came in men's head where that this is somehow you need to be different than you are or that you need to learn or whatever. I mean, if you hold yourself in a vibration and you're a conscious person and you are have some level of presence that you can offer yourself and another being, then that's half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Like showing up is literally half the battle. Get off the phone, just be there, surrender and trust to
Mm-hmm.
the present and rearing a child in this world. I really try to be a good example, and that's the only leadership that I feel is really matters. Is if you show up as a shining example, and I know that she feels that, and
Mm-hmm.
I father other men as well,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just it's a frequency, and it's kind of like Saint Joseph, being able to bring a holy one into this world,
Mm-hmm.
and what does that mean
Such a
for the
gift.
dad, to have the strength to be able to hold the holy one,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I think it's a practice every day, but it comes naturally, and
I see that in you.
yeah, I've always been this,
Yeah.
it's not like something I had to, you know, try on or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and I think it's about leadership,
Mm-hmm.
self leadership first, and yeah, being being free to love, being
Yeah.
being open and having it within the self so you can give.
Yeah.
Because if it's not there, you can't give it.
Exactly.
So
The truth is I think you're really setting a great example because what I see in you as a father and as a husband is that you enjoy it so much. You know, you do. You enjoy it so much, and that comes from a place of being very comfortable and having a lot to give. And because you enjoy it, Grace and Denise also enjoy it so much.
Mm-hmm.
What I see, it's sort of a classic example of like where two people just focus on the light, it magnifies the light, right? And I've known you for a couple of years now, and we've worked together, obviously, in construction, which is pretty intimate, to be honest.
It is.
And um, and that is something that is evident in your relationship with Denise and your relationship with your family. And Denise does it too. And that's how you both empower each other, and how you empower Grace as well, is that you both focus on the light in one another all the time. You both are complementary of each other all the time.
Mm.
All the time. In fact, that's all I ever hear.
It's,
And so
it's so great to hear how somebody sees me, because
uh,
you know, you never know until you're. Thank you for saying that.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, relationship is meant to be enjoyed.
I think
Right?
so. It's
Yeah.
it's like the icing on the cake of life. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah. I just think, like I say, whatever you focus on magnifies.
expands. Yeah.
It expands. And I think I've literally witnessed it expand in your relationship with Denise and with you, because I've witnessed it for a couple of years now, and I've seen how you both just focus on the light within each other, and focus on what you enjoy and love about each other. And as a result, you seem to just enjoy and love one another.
Yeah, life is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great time to be alive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all what you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like garbage in, garbage out. Well, love in, love out. It's just like it's a pure reflection.
Yeah.
I've heard Yogi Bhajan say marriage is the highest yoga.
Mm.
Because
Oh,
you see
wow.
yourself
Yeah.
so clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Day to day, 24 hours a day, essentially. Like it's
Yeah.
on, and you can't really run away. You got to face yourself, and if you're getting something back, you're given that too. And I always have to check myself and remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I may not like what's happening, I'm like, oh, okay, I must have done this. I
Mm-hmm.
got to take responsibility for this. And
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes, and
Wow.
to try not to take it personally or as an attack. It's definitely a practice. We must make it look easy. But yeah, I think any relationship
Mm-hmm.
is work, but it's blissful work and it's
Yeah.
necessary work. Um, it's a
And you
important
can enjoy it.
decision. Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
do. I mean, I like challenges. I think challenges are good, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, most of the time it's easy, yeah, and graceful and happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to really expand those into
Yeah.
pervading this existence, where I can walk with that and hold the
Mm-hmm.
vibration of a strong relationship, and yeah, transformative too. Um, so
Yeah.
I'm loving it. It's a great ride. Thanks for
That's great.
saying all that great stuff. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. No,
Nice.
it's truly a pleasure to witness
Mm,
that in relationship with friends.
nice.
It's really a pleasure, and it
Yeah.
sets a great example for me as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Anaha Lion, thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on the podcast and
Thank you.
sharing your gifts and what you're up to, and
Yeah.
your Kundalini creative energy pouring out of you at all times. It's fun. I had the pleasure of getting to know you, and so thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And by the way, we're going to
Great.
be creating more video content on empoweredliving.life. In fact, that's going to be one of our primary focuses of the website, is to create conscious content, inviting other guests on and sharing their knowledge and sharing their wisdom, to help empower others. It's not obviously just about me. It's about the collective, and all of us doing it together. So I'm looking forward to interviewing other people, and I know I want to work with you
I'm
more and
totally
more.
game.
So we're excited about it.
I am excited about that. It
Yeah.
always feels good. I always get chills,
Yeah.
downloads of prickles
Yes.
inside myself when
Yeah.
we talk about
And
this. So.
interestingly enough, even though the name and all of it they came through me, but you've actually provided a good amount of inspiration for the site.
Nice.
We've been talking about it over the last
It's
year,
completely
a number of times.
in line with what
Yeah.
I'm about and
Yeah.
what I would want. You
Yeah.
know, and when you start talking about it, I'm like, damn, I should have thought about that. You know? but I
we can do it
quickly
together.
yeah I
The thing
quickly
is
switched to, hey, this is actually a project. You
Yeah.
know, and it's
and I'm all about collaboration.
For sure.
For me, it's like no one person can hold the entire vision. It's about other people coming together and contributing to a vision that makes it actually exciting for me. And I think you know about that about me because of the way we work together and other things as well.
Yeah, I love your curiousness about life and the endless learning that is happening within you. So yeah, man, it's a great time to be alive. I'm so thankful knowing you, and we can collaborate and really uplift. I feel like I feel like we got something going here, you know.
I do. Even if we just uplift each other, that's great.
Well, it's definitely happening.
So,
Anytime we get together, and
yeah,
more to come.
absolutely.
So thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
bro.
you to all of those out there who saw this podcast and gleaned some insights. Go to empoweredliving.life where you can see the progress of all of these types of conversations and content, inspiring content that can shift your life to just greater and greater love and joy and embodiment of your divine nature as a man or a woman. And man, healing that is involved with all of these conversations, and also within yourself. You know, seek out what you need, find what you need, and work at it. Life is it's a work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, doesn't just come easy for anybody.
Absolutely. And embrace the unknown. Celebrate the unknown.
Yeah, celebrate.
Yeah.
Be in
It's
joy.
like, the mystery is amazing. It's like a treasure hunt.
It is.
Constantly being
Finding
in this
yourself.
treasure hunt,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
And also check out mantradad.com. Make sure you subscribe and like and share these videos with others, people that you know that could benefit. And keep shining your own light out there. That's what it's about.
Thank you. All right.
Aloha from Kauai.
Aloha.